Developing story out of Cincinnati. For the second straight year, edge rusher Trey Hendrickson has sought permission to seek a trade. This time, the Bengals granted his request. Cincinnati's front office allowing Hendrickson to seek out a new team. 30-year-old Hendrickson coming off his best season in the league, having led the NFL with 17.5 sacks. And there was some reaction around the World Wide Web yesterday. Our friend Dan Orlovsky had this reaction to the news. What the heck is Cincy doing? I'm surprised you didn't say fudge. What the fudge is Cincy doing? That would sound more like Orlovsky to me. But anyway, Mike T, as our former general manager here, what is Cincinnati doing?
I have no idea. And, typically I would say when you're the GM of a team, you look to your left, the head coach, the right, the owner, and make sure you're on the same page. If I'm Cincinnati, I am significantly worried about Joe Burrow. He sat down with ESPN and Laura Rutledge at the Super Bowl. He talked about in great detail about what players should get paid, cap numbers, and cash flow. And you're attacking T. Higgins, who we're looking at here for the second consecutive year. And Trey Hendrickson, guys, has 35 sacks over the last 2 years. He's 30 years old. He's high character. Those guys never, ever, ever leave your building, ever. And T. Higgins needs to get paid. And if I'm Cincinnati, I'm worrying about, is Joe Burrow all in here?
Is Joe Burrow, are they wasting Joe Burrow, and is he going to react to that?
Absolutely. To your point, you talked about being down at the Super Bowl. He was giving the play-by-play of how you do it, of restructuring contracts and putting money into signing bonuses. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, the moment you draft Joe Burrow, the clock starts. So you know when it comes to cash spending, cap space, you always should be at the top of the league of spending money, and your cap space is going to be limited because you're going all in. So a guy like Trey Hendrickson, yes, he may be 30 years old, but he's still in the prime of his career. We're going to pay this guy to keep him here because we're trying to win it all right now. We're not trying to kick the can down the road and build for the future. When you get a quarterback like Burrow, you have to go in. And I look at the Bengals last season. Burrow had over 40 touchdowns, didn't make the playoffs. Jamar Chase was a triple crown, right? He didn't. And your defense, it was because of them. And now you're getting rid of your best player possibly.
So I'm going to try to figure out how Cincinnati is thinking here. When I look at this whole ordeal and them giving or granting, Trey Hendrickson permission to seek a trade, I'm saying to myself, okay, they're looking at this football team and defensively, they're saying that we're not just one player away. We have multiple holes that we need to fill. They understand that Trey Hendrickson is 30 years old, and even though, yes, the last 2 years he had, 35 sacks combined, 17.5 last year led the league, they were still in total defense, 25th, pass defense, 21st, run defense, 19th, points allowed, 25th, third down defense, 23rd. So maybe they're saying if we're going to be awful anyway,
let's move to 32.
Why are we paying $30 million a year?
Harry, so let me ask you a question, given those statistics, how does taking Trey Hendrickson out improve that?
Well, I think, you're saying they need to rebuild on defense?
That's what I'm saying.
Scratch,
more
right?
guys.
You got a new defensive coordinator in Al Golden who came from Notre Dame. Maybe it's one of those things where, hey, let's get younger. Let's bet on Chris Jenkins, who we drafted. Let's bet on Miles Murphy, who we drafted. Let's add more pieces that are younger to the equation and try to see if we can get better that way versus putting a lot of eggs in the basket with one person.
One of the things that you guys used to hold me accountable as a GM was who you paid in the locker room was the advertisement of what you stood for. And also, who did you let walk out the door, Mike? I would get that all the time. And I always felt like I had an accountability to the locker room. And I feel like if you're not paying T. Higgins, who's been a point scorer and consistent since he's been a Bengal, if you're not paying Trey Hendrickson, who has led the league over the last 2 years, who are you paying? What do you stand for? And to go back to J-Mac's point about the detail that Joe Burrow provided, he knows, he looks at Philadelphia, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith get paid. They just take care of Saquon Barkley. They just pay Zach Bond. And players know what's going on. So to me, of course players have to graduate. You can't pay them all. Philly's going to lose Sweat. They're going to lose Milton Williams. But there's certain guys based on production and character that they're non-negotiables. And Hendrickson, to me, is an easy one.
But I think it also goes back to, but their front office and Mike Brown and Duke Tobin, the way they've done business for so long, where you're hampering your football team because you didn't handle things the right way in the past, and you're trying to make up for it right now currently.
Yeah, well, so we'll see where it goes. I mean, Hendrickson allowed to seek a trade doesn't mean he'll find one, right? Could end up back there, but obviously a lot to deal with in Cincinnati.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.